just recast it.
And then Melissa can mount it once again with a Misraven.
Yeah.
So she actually bought a lot of time with this Appeal from Reality.
Yeah.
But she still needs to draw some relevant spells.
Right. It looks like she's fighting a little bit.
Oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
No.
How Jeff that?
Jeff has a righteous blow.
Oh, it's a righteous blow? Oh,
yeah.
Very nice. Okay. So the righteous blow is just basically going to prevent what you were just saying, where, she gets to keep doing this over and over again.
But it tied up Jeff's mana a bit. He wasn't able to replay his 5.
Yeah, he needed that land. He needed to play a land in order to replay the 5, and he didn't have a 4 either, so that's interesting.
We know that he has a Raven Valiant in his hand.
So why didn't he play it?
Maybe he has a...
Warfare Avenger? Is that what you would be thinking if you were in Melissa's seat right now?
If I'm in Melissa's seat right now, I'm just hoping that he has next to nothing.
But I mean, there has to be a reason for him not playing that, right?
Oh, and it is the Warfare Avenger.
And so she swung in, I think, to try to kind of bait it out, but he just took the damage. Because, it's tempting to do that, but he wouldn't be able to regenerate his Warfare Avenger that turn. So the damage was just much, was irrelevant.
If you sign up for a side event,
Alright, so we're going to see a 3D distraction. Draws a card. Looks like another island.
I'm surprised that Melissa didn't cast that out.
Just to try to make
one damage this way, but she desperately needs to draw into something.
Yeah, and something in this form is often going to be a creature, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so Jeff has left his Warfare Avenger open, but it's become pretty clear to him that if Melissa could do something about it, she would have. Plus, there's really nothing that kills it. Pillar doesn't kill it.
There are a good number of ways to deal 1 or 2 damage in this format. Not that many ways to deal 3.
Yeah. Alright, so Mistraven's going to come back down. Melissa.
A second Mistraven.
And you're gonna see her use it on the Wildwood guys simply because that uses up the most mana, right? She gains the most tempo advantage out of that.
And it hits the hardest.
Yes.
And that's a Galvanic Alchemist.
Yeah. Now, she is going to go ahead and pair with the bird. The pairing part probably...
It's a blocker.
Yeah. No, the Alchemist is going to do something, but the pairing is less relevant here, I think. So she has managed to halt the procession a little bit here, right? I mean...
Yeah, that was a very big turn.
Yeah, it actually was, just because it's going to give her multiple draw steps to try to get into this spot. It's a little interesting. I mean, Jeff has, 5 cards in his hand? I see a Borderland Ranger.
Is that a Banishing Stroke?
I think it was actually another Righteous Blow. But I couldn't quite get a view on it. It is a Banishing Stroke. Yeah. It's a stroke, yep.
So even if Melissa does draw a sizable creature, Jeff can just get rid of it.
So Steve, let's say you're in Jeff's seat. How strongly are you considering banishing stroking the Alchemist so that you can start getting in with your Warfare Avenger? Is that on your...
Not even on
the option. Okay.
If I'm Jeff, the only way that I can lose this game, foreseeably, is if Melissa plays something huge and game breaking.
Okay. So she goes, whatever. I can't even think of something just huge, fatty. There's a Kruin Striker. So it looks like Melissa's keep wasn't ideal for what her deck is actually trying to do here. When you're playing Kruin Strikers and Somberwald Vigilantes and Mistravens, you want to be aggressive. You're playing Peel from Reality, right? You want to be the one who's applying a lot of early pressure and then backing it up with these tempo plays. And instead, she's had to use her tempo plays to just not die.
Definitely. But if you have a Mistraven and a Peel from Reality in your hand, and presumably a couple of other spells, it's hard to hope that you're going to get a much better 6-card hand. You get to buy a lot of time.
Yeah, you do.
If she draws any sort of reasonable threat in her first 3 turns, that's going to get in for a lot of damage.
Yeah. Alright, so we're going to see a Borderland Ranger come down. Now let's see if he's splashing anything. He is. So we have a red mana come down for him. So this could be Bonfire of the Damned in his deck. This could be a Zealous Conscript, a Pillar.
It could just be a Pillar.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't have to be a game-breaking rare.
Yeah.
If he has a Borderland Ranger, that makes splashing pretty easy.
Yeah. although, looking at his board, he does have a Wolfir Avenger and a Seraphim Dawn out. Like, these are not cards that are necessarily easy to cast, so.
With this kind of mana base, Jeff probably has to be playing 17, maybe 18 lands, even this is local.
Yeah, you're right. So Jeff plays a Devout Chaplain. Now, there isn't currently anything to target with it, but he also doesn't have enough humans to activate it yet. Anyway.
Melissa gets in for an thinking about getting in for an attack. She can still untap her Mist Raven with the Galvanic Alchemist.
Yeah.
Even though Jeff is now on 21 life, if Melissa is able to stabilize, every point is going to be huge.
Yeah. And she's been very diligent about making sure that, she was getting in with the Samuel Vigilante, just getting in those extra little points of damage. Those are the type of things that you see the top players doing, where the other ones will be like,
Right, it's easy to give up in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Jeff has a fairly dominating board. You need to draw something pretty big to swing the game back in your favor.
Right.
So why even bother?
Right. Why? Who cares about the 1 point? That's not how I'm going to win this anyway,
But in reality, that is how you're going to win this.
Yeah, it really is. We've got some deck lists here.
We've got a couple of deck lists.
Yeah.
Jeff is indeed playing 18 lands.
Okay, good read there.
And
without giving it away too much, can we see what he's flashing? Okay. Well, we're not going to give it away quite yet here, but we'll see if he plays it. I'd say that's a worthy splash. Also, the 18 lands makes more sense in that context as well.
Melissa did everything that she could that game to try to give herself enough time to draw into something relevant. Jeff ran out of big spells, but she just never had anywhere near enough firepower or defense to sustain the board for more than a turn.
I'm taking a look at Melissa's list. Her deck, it's definitely not it's definitely not on the power level of some of the decks that I've seen when I was out wandering around. I was looking at people's decks, and sometimes people will walk up and be like, "Hey, can you look cool?" And I'll just take a look. I like getting a feel for what people are running out at the event before I come in the booth, and hers. I like the idea that she has here, which is going with blue-red tempo aggressive, but she's definitely had to put in a few cards that are subpar to make this work.
Blue-red aggro is actually my favorite strategy.
Oh, it is. I love it too.
It's great. No deck makes better use of Wingcrafter. Pair a Wingcrafter
I do love a Wingcrafter.
with a Cruin Striker or a Mass Exterminator.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Close out games very quickly.
She's running a Geist Snatch.
But keep in mind, Melissa has 2 Mist Ravens.
Yeah, which is all I really need to know. Like, once you tell me that somebody has 2 Mist Ravens on board,
you can beat even the best decks with those cards.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good, how big your opponent's creatures are. If you're able to keep them off the board while progressing your own board.
That's the idea. I mean, I think one of the things that we want to look at here is how many aggressive 2-drops is Melissa, right? Because those are going to be a key card. A card like a Cruin Striker is going to do a lot of work for her in an ideal situation. And see, she has one of those. Also see an Exterminator.
Excellent.
Yeah,
especially with 2 Mist Ravens.
Right, that's the thing. It's all about the Mist Ravens.
Valkyva's Exterminator by itself, not great.
No, it's actually it's an interesting card because it's pretty mediocre, right? I mean, how many times have you played an Exterminator, had nothing to back it up, and just been like, go. It doesn't attack well on its own, right?
No.
If it gets in once, you're pretty happy.
If you're on the play and you have it on turn 2, and your opponent doesn't have a 2-drop of their own, then it's going to be good.
Yes, but that's a pretty specific.
If you draw it on turn 4, if you don't have that mountain to play it on turn 2,
right?
If your opponent has a 2-drop,
which they often do. Yeah. Yeah. So that's why you look for things to enable it, like you were saying, like a Wingcraft.
Yeah.
Or maybe, maybe peel. Maybe you play a 1-drop and peel and then hit them on turn 3 and then get that counter going.
If your opponent makes a greedy attack, only leaves 1 blocker back, you can peel. Even peel away your 3-drop. If that means you're going to get in for a point with your Valkyrie Mass Exterminator, get it a counter, and turn it off.
And because that thing, I've noticed that the Exterminator has the ability to really shut down, like, significant amount of cards in your opponent's hand. All right, we're back to the action. All right, now we've got a good start, a 1-drop. So Melissa's off to the races here with the Samawald Vigilante, and she's going to attack. Do we have a Kruin Striker? Nothing? Oh. Okay, so it's a Scalding Devil.
It doesn't quite pack the same punch as a Kruin Striker.
It doesn't pack anywhere near the same punch.
But over time, that is a card that Melissa can use to close out the game.
Yeah, if she can get off to a quick start, and a lot of times in sealed, you don't have a way to finish, right? The boards can get stalled out a little bit, and you can just dump all your mana into a Scalding Devil. I think the card's okay. Not a huge fan, but I think it's playable. She had 2 in her pool. She's only playing 1, so she probably agrees with me, right? Yeah, it's like you don't want to have a draw with 2 of those.
Right. It's also not something. Oh, and that's a right ringleader.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Punch through quite a bit of damage.
Yep.
Jeff has to stop, read it, make sure he knows exactly what it does.
Don't you hate losing to the people that read the card? You're like, you don't even know what this does, and you just smash me.
A lot of the sort of older school pros who have been around for a long time and haven't been playing recently will do that, even if they know exactly what the card does.
No, I know a lot of the guys up in Seattle that have played for a really long time but don't play as actively. They'll do it too. It makes a lot of sense.
We see Melissa attacking with the right ringleader and the Vigilante, not the Scalding Devil.
That's right.
She's respecting the very real possibility.
Yeah, and that's interesting because both of these cards would trade for it, and he does in fact have it, and he is going to trade. Wow.
He doesn't want to take 5 here. He's not going to have the chance to leave up 2 mana to regenerate.
So you think that his plan is to trade here, and he's just going to be casting stuff for the next, foreseeable future, and so he'd rather just trade?
Yeah, I completely agree with that play.
Interesting.
And Melissa has the Kruin Striker.
Wow. So if he hadn't have blocked and then she plays a Kruin Striker, it's pretty good. He does have a 4 though, and all right, now do you agree with that play?
Definitely.
Really? Well, you would rather just have a 3/3 and a 2/4 lifelink at this point?
And beyond 12 against a deck that has 2 Mist Ravens and a peel.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
If you get an opportunity to get a good trade in,
I mean, that being said, he's still not in a good spot against a Mist Raven here.
No, but it's certainly better than making that same trade a turn later after you've taken a hit for 3. And we see that Melissa just added a Heirs of Stromkirk to her board, which gives her a very good way to close out the game quickly.
Yeah.
Just going to go ahead and attack with his Seraph of Dawn, putting himself up to 17, knocking Melissa down to 18. And he has a second Seraph of Dawn.
Jeez.
Now the fact that Jeff got that right ringleader off the board is actually a very big deal.
Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, it's the Kruin Striker and the Sabalon Vigilante are the only ones that are getting pumped from it, but it ends up being a lot of damage. And the Heirs has Intimidate, so it's going to be able to attack through, and she has a Thunderbolt for one of them, so he's going to take a lot of damage this turn.
Does she have a creature to follow it up with to pump her?
Oh, that would be ideal.
No, she doesn't, but she's still getting it for 6, and she gets to put a counter on her Heirs of Stromkirk, assuming that Jeff does not have a Righteous Blood.
Yeah.
Which he appears as though he does not.
Right.
Now, just on 11, his only creature is the Seraph of Dawn. He's staring down minimum 7 power and an active Scalding.
Oh, wow, and an Exterminator. So why would you play that post-combat?
Maybe she has a Peel from Reality in her hand, or she just wants to represent the fact that she could, so she doesn't lose her heirs to the Righteous Blood.
It was 1 damage difference. I think I just would have played it.
Unless she has the Peel in her hand.
So what would the Peel do there, though?
if Jeff goes to Righteous Blow,
Okay.
her Heirs of Stromkirk,
Okay.
she can then peel it in response,
Okay.
bouncing Jeff's Seraph of Dawn and saving her heirs.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
She probably sees as her victory condition.
And that's worth a point, 1 point of damage having that option if she does have peel. Although I don't think she does. Well, maybe she does. I didn't think she had peel in her hand. She could represent it.
I'm not sure how much value you get out of representing.
Yeah, I
peel in that
think
spot.
he would still just be like, I'm playing this.
He has no choice.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do? Play around the peel and just definitely lose?
Right. This has been a pretty intense game. There's not a lot of room for error here for either player. Jeff definitely has the spells to stabilize. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't die before that happens. And Melissa seems, like she needs to be able to keep the pressure on while not letting him get basically 2 Seraph of Dawns going, because she can't come back from that.
We've got another hit from Heirs of Stromkirk.
Okay.
Knocks Jeff down to 11. The Heirs is now 4-4.
That thing is getting out of control pretty quickly.
It does that.
Attack for 3.
Puts himself back to 14. Melissa down to 12. Assuming Melissa doesn't have any answers, Jeff is going to be able to attack her desk with his flyer over the course of the next 4 turns.
Yeah. So it looks like
A shot from Scalding
she's
Devil.
going to shot. Yeah, and he decided to play his Wildwood Geist here. So all of a sudden, it felt like Melissa had the momentum and the pressure going, but actually Jeff has pressure on her. Like, he's got a 5-5, a 3-3, and another 3 and a 3-5 on his turn to attack with. And her guys on the blocks don't look that amazing. So
She has a very large volume of creatures.
yeah.
So even though Jeff can get in attacks with some big creatures, she can chump block pretty easily and could be representing a kill at almost any point.
Okay.
I don't think that Jeff is eager to attack with his ground creatures here.
I would.
Would you?
Yeah, because I'm that guy.
So right now, Melissa's Heirs of Stromkirk and Jeff's Seraph of Dawn are doing all of the heavy lifting. And Melissa taps out for a Zealous Conscript, taking the Seraph of Dawn. Oh, this is going to be a big attack.
So this is a big attack
unpairs.
that unpairs. That's right. So she's going to leave back, because if she attacks with all 3 of those creatures, she gets in for 1 extra point of damage here. And I didn't do the math yet, but that's obviously not lethal, or she would have done it. So she's attacking for 12? Actually, was it
actually
lethal?
may have been.
Although this way she can just... Was it lethal? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 right now, and if she would attack with all 3 of the others... Well, okay, but he can still just block the conscript, so those ones aren't getting through. So yeah, it's not lethal.
So the trampling over for 1, 2 points from Seraph, and 4 from the Heirs of Stromkirk.
So that's
7 points.
but now she does have the Scalding Devil hanging around, etc. But you get that guy back. He had to double trade. I like the spot that Melissa's in here now.
Seems very good for her.
Yeah.
She has a 5-5 that Jeff has no way to block.
And Jeff has to keep attacking now. He's forced to. Because he can't. If he doesn't attack, then Melissa can just simply send in the heirs, and that's going to be that. All right. So the obligatory attack comes in now. It's going to be a little more.
Again, makes the Seraph a 3-power creature.
And Jeff needs a Narstad scrapper here. At least he can block, right?
It's going to be tough for Jeff to survive through this turn, let alone the next one.
She has one activation available on her Scalding Devil. 5, 6, 7, 8. So she can get him to 1 if she activates the Devil. So he's an effective 1 if she wants him to be. She's going to say go. If she has anything like Peel from Reality, then the game's just over.
Jeff hoping for a miracle. No, and
there was not one this time.
Wow. The game's free.
That was impressive. Melissa fought through 2 Seraphic Dolls.
Thunderbolt to deal with.
Yes.
And an Heirs of Stormkirk that wound up just completely outmatching it over the course of 7 turns.
You know, I actually feel like Heirs gets kind of a bad rap, and I think it's a reasonable card. Like, I don't pick it highly in the draft, and I wouldn't be super excited about it, but, you know, these board states happen a lot. They do. They just, these things where people can't get through for damage and you're kind of staring at each other, and an Heirs can just run away with the game. It gets big quickly. Like, it's a lot faster than it looks. You kind of see it as a 2/2 for 4 is very unexciting. But I don't know. For me, I think that it does have a spot in a lot of the red decks, even if it's not your first option.
Definitely. Every deck needs a way to actually win games. And you need a definite plan for how you're going to get those victories.
Yeah.
If you just have a bunch of cheap red creatures, maybe a removal spell or 2, that'll get you a good number of games.
Yes.
But what if it's not?
Yes.
What if you don't have any way to break through?
Right.
That's when you need a card like Heirs of Stormkirk. Or what if your opponent is just able to stabilize very quickly? Heirs gives you a very good way to pass any non-red defense.
Yeah, and I think we saw what's good about a card like that as well, which is that Melissa was able to get off to a fairly quick start, and then the board was stalled or she couldn't attack anymore, but she could keep attacking with her Heirs, and he could not attempt to race her, because if he swung in, she has to crack back and just kills him. Yet she's able to keep pressure on her opponent with the Heirs, where the onus is on him to do something. He has to do something.
Right. It might have appeared as though Melissa's little creatures weren't doing very much, but they were actually doing a lot.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of work.
They prevented Jeff from attacking with 3/3 and then his 5/5.
Yeah, I mean, that turn that I noted, he had a 3 power, a 3 power, and a 5 power. Melissa was at 12. I mean, that's 11 right there, and she didn't have any, actually good blocks. So theoretically, he's in a great spot, but it turns out that if he swung in, and even if she just went to 1 or something, she just cracks back and kills him, so he just doesn't have that option. And that was thanks to the early pressure, and then the fact that those guys were just kind of hanging around stuff. I'm impressed by that play. If you would have asked me if I thought Melissa would have won that game from that board state, I would have said no. I thought Jeff was pretty well stabilized, but it turns out Zealous Conscripts will take something that is, looking very nice, turns it into an utter mess for your opponent pretty quickly.
And it was clear, Melissa was planning for that the whole game.
Yes.
She was feigning weaknesses to get the game to a board state where she could just close it out almost immediately with her rare. The players are now looking at their opening hands from the 3. They both keep. Melissa has the first play of the game with a Stone Right, which can represent a ton of damage, especially if she has any sort of evasion.
Stone Right's one of my favorite one cards. I overlooked it. I didn't value it very highly when I first saw it, and I came around pretty quickly. Pair of these. Right, see, this is what I like, because the Scalding Devil is a card that you want to do stuff with later on, but right now, all of a sudden, it's a threat. It's a mana sink, it trades up, it does so many things, and if it dies, sure, it has Seal of Fire Breathing, I'll just play another one.
Stone Right actually does a ton on defense as well.
Yeah, it makes your guys trade up for much bigger things.
Jeff has bigger creatures than Melissa does.
Now we're going to note here, by the way, that Jeff is on 3 planes.
All right.
So, we don't know anything yet, but that's oftentimes a sign of an opponent who doesn't have his other color.
We know that Jeff has 2 double green spells.
Yeah.
So is that
It's a sell. So she must have voted it in.
Yep. She saw the way that the last 2 games went.
So she decided not to pair them, it looks like.
Maybe she has a Miss Raven or some other flyer in her hand.
Okay.
That
seems like a reasonable lead, yeah. So he's going to get in with the Devout Chaplain here. And he's going to play, yep, you guessed it, another Seraphim Dawn.
Very well may be the best card in Jeff's deck in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Like, she needs to have a Thunderbolt. Right. So are you pairing? You are pairing. Okay. So we note, again, looking at mana here is important because Jeff, it looks like he just peeled a forest, but he didn't have one before that. And Melissa only has 1 mountain.
Right.
And that's going
to familiar. That's huge.
These are 2 of the best 4-drops in the game, in the set. So fleeting distraction, just desperation.
She wants to get an extra card out of it.
Yeah. Just dig. Wow.
Yeah, Melissa needs to
now
draw
it's a
something
4/6
back.
lifelink. Like, this game's going to be over very quickly if she doesn't hit. I mean, what can she even draw? Like Peel plus Thunderbolt? I mean, she's going to have to come up with some pretty crazy stuff to make this work.
A couple of Mist Ravens would do the trick.
Yeah, but, I mean, what would that do for her? Like, would she win the game if she drew? Like, let's say she has 2 Mist Ravens in hand right now. She can draw some more cards. I don't think it actually puts her in a winning position because he just replays whatever it is.
Right now, Jeff has 2 cards that are better than any one of Melissa's cards.
Yeah.
Maybe a Mist Raven and a Pillar deals to Druid Slayer. Even if Melissa does find a way to deal with the Seraphim Dawn, Druid's Familiar is so huge.
I mean, Druid's Familiar can attack right now if Jeff wanted to. He probably won't just for Peel from reality reasons. Oh, okay, there's a good start. Spectral Prison.
Yeah.
Read this one, Jeff. So basically, he's going to need to find a way to target this creature with a spell in order to get that Spectral Prison. Otherwise, that thing's not untapping. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was...
So that, even if Jeff has an ability, way to pair it with a different creature, that won't be enough.
No.
He's going to need to either find a spell, a pump spell, or 2 other human creatures so he could use his chaplain to destroy it.
Yeah.
He has 1 creature, and he has 7 power.
Yeah, it's so insane.
So even though Melissa had a way to deal with just the best creature, she's still...
Her cards are outclassed here. They really are. I mean, she's playing a Scalding Devil, and Jeff's playing Trusted Force Mage and Druid's Familiar. Pair Bears, they call them. I mean, how do you keep up with that?
Melissa needs to get out ahead of Jeff in this matchup.
Yes.
And she needs to press that advantage with cards like Mist Raven and Peel from Reality.
Right, and now she's up against him.
Jeff's creatures are just so much bigger than her.
Yes, they're just huge. I mean, this is the reason why green-blue is my favorite 2-color combo in the format.
This is on 8 life, staring down 10 power. She needs to do something big and fast. The Griff Vanguard, that can trade with anything other than the Druid's Familiar.
But she can stack block on that.
Yeah.
And importantly, she's drawing a card here.
Oh, a Zealous Strike to get rid of the...
Jeez, end step Zealous Strike. So he's making sure to do that on her turn so that he gets to untap with his Angel ready to go. So
it's got 14 power.
So I think he just ships his guys in here. I mean, what? Yeah, he's just going to send everybody in.
At least 2 of his creatures.
The 2 in the upper part are both 3/3s. In the lower part, you have a 4/4 and a 4/6. Like,
so Melissa can double block the Druid's Familiar, and then chump block one of the 3/3s. But even then, she'll be on 1 life, and she'll need to draw away to deal with the Seraphim's Dawn, or else just die in the air.
yeah. So she's going to need to block in such a way that even if she draws a Thunderbolt here, she can still live, after that.
So Melissa's looking at putting the Griff Vanguard in front of the Tribal Force Mage, chump blocking the Druid's Familiar, and letting the other 2 creatures through. I wonder what she's hoping to control with this block. Maybe she has Bonfire of the Damned? Or...
So she left. The problem is that both of those creatures are lethal with her form.
She needs Bonfire.
She doesn't have Bonfire because she just drew that really quickly.
Yeah.
Melissa's a good enough player so that if she didn't have the Bonfire, she would have carefully. You ever think about, drawing your card and looking at it even if you don't have a Bonfire in your deck?
Oh, all the time. Especially if I know I'm dead. I'm going to make him sweat.
Yeah. A little sweat value out of it.
Yeah. At least get something out of my loss.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just in Here's the Stronger.
She's still dead and bored. So she's going to make him... I mean, he's not going to not attack with his Seraph here, so, she has to have Peel.
If she has Peel and Thunderbolt...
She was just going through the motions, making sure that he didn't screw it up.
If she had Peel and Thunderbolt there, she actually could have gotten herself right back in the game.
She could have. She gave herself outs, but that's a very tough position to be in.
I actually don't think that Jeff should have attacked with the Druid's Familiar.
You don't think that he should have left it open to death?
If Melissa has Peel from Reality, and